in. So you guys are going to be hearing more and more and more from Jack and from Brian. Cool. So I'll probably pass the mic to Jack to check in with him. Then we'll pass it to Brian to check in with him. Then we'll kick off properly. So, guys, if you are very excited to hear from Jack, please type Plume. Then after that, I'll pass the mic to Jack. Okay, so Jack, checking in with you. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How's it going?
Good,
Okay, cool.
good. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Let's kick it off and sort of describe Plume for everybody in the audience at a very high level. I think everyone here is familiar with GLIDER, but maybe is new to Plume. And so, yeah, share sort of high level Plume, what the mission is, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, 100%. So Plume is a blockchain. It's a layer 2 blockchain purpose built for RWAs. So it's you can think of it as like a hub for the issuance and distribution of anything RWA related, right? So we've got, or we're working towards like a full regulatory stack so that we can make everything easily accessible and fully compliant on chain. We also have a flagship yield protocol that we built in house called Nest, and with Nest we're taking assets from like Wisdom Tree, Apollo, UBS, like some of the largest financial institutions in the world. These are things that are typically like fairly inaccessible, especially if you're outside of the United States. And then we're offering that to users, and you don't even need to KYC to access these assets, right? So if you want access to like Wisdom Tree or Apollo private credit, we've also got like Super State for like basis and a bunch of other good stuff on there. So definitely recommend checking that out.
Yeah, I think the RWA space has really exploded over the last couple years. If you guys are looking for a way to track RWAs, I like to look at rwa.xyz, and you can see a really nice chart there. Maybe I can share my screen about how RWA growth has really, really expanded over the past couple years. Let's see. Sweet. Can you guys see that? Yeah. I'm sure Jack has seen this picture many, many times. So this is just measuring the total value in RWAs on chain, and it has exploded over the past couple years, and it's still so early, right? When we look at this, this is 20 billion. 20 billion is really nothing when it comes to RWAs. If you think about the stock market as a whole, we're talking about even Nvidia alone is in the trillions, Apple alone is in the trillions. And so I think this thing's going to go exponential. I think we're going to see so much more. Stocks are actually much smaller than like the treasury market, for example. And so you're going to see, what is already the biggest group here, US Treasury debt, going to get massively bigger, only at 8.5 billion, which is tiny, 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 tiny. To give you a sense, like back in my first job ever, I worked at Morgan Stanley trading treasuries, and we would consistently be trading billions of dollars a day in treasuries. And that was just one trading desk at Morgan Stanley. Yes, one of the biggest banks in the world, but 8.5 billion is like peanuts compared to the size of the overall treasury market. Like even Tether, right? Tether has, I don't know how many billions, if not trillions, of US Treasury debt already, but they hold it off chain, and I'm sure they would love to hold it on chain at some point. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's also good to touch on like the reason why treasuries are like the most popular asset for RWAs right now, right? And they're like really the first RWA to actually like be successful in crypto overall, right? I remember a time before RWAs were really a thing, when there was on-chain lending, but it was all pretty weak. It was all pretty like not safe, and most of those like early on-chain private credit protocols ended up having like sweeping defaults, so nobody really trusted private credit for a long time. And largely that was because you had like really good technologists with good ideas that wanted to take this thing that was in traditional finance and turn it into crypto, but none of them had like the banking experience to like, or like the credit underwriting experience to actually do so. So nobody trusted RWAs for a long time. I used to work at HashKey, which is like a VC in crypto, and I got into RWAs because I just got really jaded with like I mean I used to be like hardcore degen, and I've kind of like moved more in a safe direction, and you know, so I like after the collapse of FTX, I was like, what is this? What does the future of this industry look like? Like it doesn't look like it looks right now, right? It's not just going to be like Ponzi-nomics forever. Like eventually, like this technology is going to turn into something legit. And then I remember when I think Maple Cash was the first like treasury bill product to like actually like take off, right? And then like a whole slew of other ones came after. And the reason that it took off is because there was no good on-chain yields, right? Like this was like post FTX, post 3AC, post Terra Luna. The best yields that you could get on chain were like 2% on Aave. So you had this massive like exodus of capital from crypto, and then you also had, you know, these like DAOs and fully on-chain entities that like needed a way to get some kind of yield. So these treasury bill products were like ended up being a perfect test pilot for RWAs. I mean, rates were really high at that time as well, but like they're a perfect test pilot for RWAs because, you know, it's the risk-free rate, right? It doesn't get much lower risk than that, because you know, it's backed by the U.S. government, right? And also like they're very liquid. You know, treasuries are, you know, like short dated, so it just made for like the perfect test pilot for RWAs. And I think we'll start to move up the risk curve. And this has been my thesis for like years at this point, since like 2021, and I think it's played out pretty much exactly as anticipated, right? So now we're moving into like different types of bonds and private credit and structured credit and all of the above, which is what I see as like the next, well, I guess the current big thing in crypto, right? Like these like CLOs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think we share a very similar sentiment with you that uh, it can't be all meme coins and random stuff on chain that people are trading over long periods of time, right? Like we've built Glider as a way to invest in anything on chain. If you want it to be meme coins, that's fine, but we think there's a much bigger opportunity in tokenized treasuries, in RWAs, in on-chain stocks, and you know, it's not just us saying this, right? We have Larry Fink at BlackRock saying, okay, like everything's going to be tokenized. You have Vlad at Robinhood saying, okay, everything's going to be tokenized. And so, again, I'll say it: the market for RWAs, you know, tokenized credits, on-chain stocks, will far surmount the cryptocurrency market in due time. It'll take a bit
I
to
will
get
say
there,
though,
but yeah.
Glider is a kick-ass tool for trading meme coins, though. I will say that. I remember when my first intro to Glider was Vinny showing me, because like I used to, I'm sure like many people on here, I used to scroll deck screener to do like day trading on coins, and I would put in like certain filters. So like you know, a coin that's like like, you know, was created within X number of days ago and has like, you know, like X $1 million of volume, so on and so forth, you know. And then I would just like, I would find tokens that had good volume, that looked like they had like enough holders or whatever, that looked like they weren't scams based on these certain criteria, these certain filters. And when Vinny showed me that you could just like program that into Glider and have it programmatically seek out those type of tokens and then sell when you're like 2x up or like 50% down or something like that, right? Like just all the above, right? It is like the perfect meme coin trading tool, and it's the perfect like RWA, you know, portfolio balancing tool.
Yeah. You could put them in the same portfolio if you want to. You could put the Vs with the RWAs. You could mix and match, which is funny. I love it. Okay, so we're about 10 minutes in. Let me show you guys Plume in the app. So let me share a different screen. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Share. Oh, it's actually just a different tab. Let's see here. All right. Let me go back. Share the screen. All right. So this is the GLIDER dashboard, which many of you are familiar with. This actually holds a fair number of like the original GLIDER portfolios. So like the base batches ones that we just did 2 weeks ago, and then all of the other like individual token base batch crew, and then even the original like 50/50 DeFi mix in Big Five. So to Jack's point, though, one thing that I found really interesting about holding just a basket of memes, or I don't think all of these are memes, but like real token projects, is that we held 10 different tokens. We had no idea that any of them would pump, and then suddenly like 2 of them pumped, and we were up in profit. And so I think diversification and being able to hold a whole bunch of things at once actually is a really great way just to get potentially more upside, right? The likelihood that you chose that one token out of these 10, pretty low. But Coinbase had vetted these and did a bunch of stuff, and so I think holding the basket actually helped out. Anyways, so as you guys are familiar with our builder now allows you to choose assets from Plume. And so you can choose any of these assets. You could search by contract address as well. So if there's an asset that's not just natively listed here, you can choose it. And the ones I want to talk about today are these Nest vaults. And so there's 3 here. There's a bunch others on the Nest website, and we'll be making this far more integrated into the actual experience to earn yield. But maybe Jack, if you could give a brief overview of like what Nest is to users and how they can think about it.
100%. Yeah. So Nest is it is our flagship yield product protocol. It's institutional grade RWAs, right? So we've got all kinds of assets on here. We've got so basically the way that this works is we have a third party. So I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest issues with RWAs in crypto historically, especially early on, has been the underwriting process, right? And this is kind of crucial for understanding how anything RWA related works, right? Like if there's any kind of like off-chain component, there's going to be a risk, and you need somebody who's sufficiently qualified to be able to underwrite that risk. So we have a third-party credit rating agency called Cicada. And they've done audits they've done underwriting for like MakerDAO, and a bunch of like really big players in the crypto space. And these guys are like veterans when it comes to credit underwriting in the TradFi world and in the crypto world, right? So we have like, there's 2 kinds of vaults. We've got like these mixed asset vaults, like N Alpha, like Nest Alpha, Nest Basis, Nest Institutional, right? Which have kind of like a mix of different types of assets. So like institutional has like some public ETFs, some money market funds, and some investment grade credit. Cicada will look at all the assets that are going to go into that, and they will do like a full credit report, and they'll publish a public scorecard that you can see. So you can, like, if you go on the Nest website, if you go on the Nest app, you can click on any of the vaults. You can see what assets are underneath it. You can see who the custodian is for that RWA asset. You can see Cicada's scorecard for that, so you know that you can trust it. And then additionally, they don't just underwrite the individual assets. They also tell us, like, if it's a mixed asset vault, how much of each asset can we allocate to that vault. So if it's, like our institutional vault is 85% senior secured debt, 11% of ETFs, and 4% money market funds, to help us balance out the risk and the yield to ensure that these are like fully safe products, right? So you're not getting any kind of incredibly dangerous, like super recursive, like ultra rehypothecated, underlying assets, or like you're not getting like degen underlying assets, right? Like these are things that you can trust in your portfolio, especially when you've got like like we have single asset vaults as well, right? So we have like Wisdom Tree and Apollo and Hamilton Lane, and we're working on a couple other institutions that we're getting ready to pull in as well. These are some of the biggest names in traditional finance. So your counterparty on these is somebody that is not trusted just in crypto, but is trusted in the traditional finance world, right? And have, you know, track records that go back many, many, many years. So you can look up their track records themselves, especially for the types of assets that we're now bringing on chain. Yeah, it just makes for kind of like the perfect savings product for your portfolio. So if you want to allocate a certain portion of your portfolio to something that's very risk on, and then you want to use Glider to automatically rebalance your portfolio, take profit and then move it into something that's safe, right? Say like I guess like relatively safe, right? Especially relative to the DeFi world, right? I mean, it's hard to say anything outside of treasury bills is like completely safe, but again, these funds have very, very, very long track records that you can look up. So like I personally, I'm comfortable putting my capital into these. Not financial advice, but
I think the one thing that you said earlier too, like you're getting access to these funds without KYC, and that's really the magic of it. I don't think, I don't want to like downplay KYC because I think it's important at times, but the fact that these trade permissionlessly, that's really part of the ethos that we see at Glider, is that everything should be permissionless, on chain, freely traded through a DEX, and it's cool to see that. What we haven't done, admittedly, a good job of showing is what these yields are on our site. And so we'll do a better job of that very soon. But if you go to nest.credit and you look at the products that they have, can you guys still see this? Let's see.
Yeah.
So you can see like the yields that are paying out on these are pretty high, like 19.49% on the Nest Alpha. The Nest Basis, which you just saw, 16.52%. And the Nest Treasury, 18.66%. So
Wisdom Tree is like 32%. It's pretty high.
Crazy. It's crazy, right? And so we'll be making this far more visible in the app. We got this out and going really, really quickly, which was cool. But we want to make sure that you guys know that you're earning really, really significant yields on these things. And the cool part about this, and this is one of the things that we recognized when we were trying to play with a lot of these Plume assets, is that you can actually now deposit any asset from any chain, the major ones, into these Plume portfolios. So once you go through the deposit creation flow, I won't go through the whole thing, but you can deposit from mainnet ETH, from Base, from Arbitrum, from Optimism, from probably missing a couple, but that can really streamline the process for investing in a lot of these assets, because what we've seen is that when you want to go to the Plume site or the Nest site and you want to connect your wallet, then you want to invest, and it's just so many steps. And this is not just about Plume, by the way. This is true about all of these RWAs on rwa.xyz. It's like, how do you actually get these things? That process is something that we feel like we can really simplify with Glider. And so, again, you can deposit literally any asset from any chain, and it'll automatically convert it, bridge it. You don't even have to know it's bridging, but it'll move it to Plume and purchase those assets for you. Which
Glider has a lot of cool features. Glider has a lot of cool features. This is for me personally, as someone that uses crypto very frequently, this is like the single biggest unlock for me, right? Like a major inhibitor for me to actually end up taking the time to put my money into, I mean, anything anywhere in crypto, right? And on any chain, is just like, the friction that comes with bridging and moving money around, right? And having to not worry about that, and to just, especially with the like portfolio automation aspect, right? And just being able to like not have to worry about the chains that lie beneath. And this is the direction that crypto has to move in to succeed, which is why Glider is definitely leading the pack here. Just having the simplicity and the availability to not have to move my money around from chain to chain, and just treat chains as plumbing rather than like, the thing that I'm focusing on, is so big.
That's the way it should be, right? Like, you shouldn't have to think about what chain you're dealing with. Insofar that there are assets people want to invest in, they should be able to invest in them freely. without the complexities of like getting a wallet, figuring out where to bridge, and all this stuff. On top of that, many of you know that we pay for everybody's gas as well, and handle all of the bridging, and so any costs associated with that are handled by Glider, which we think is a good improvement to user experience because Plume, for example, has Plume as its native gas token, like Monad has Mon, or Base has ETH. And having a bunch of native gas tokens on all of these different chains is really, really confusing for a lot of users. And so we just do it all for you, which is really nice. And that's the way that other apps should be doing it as well. Cool. So where are we at? We're at 20 minutes. I want to make sure we leave some time for questions. So Gids, if you're collecting some questions from the audience, we can answer them. What I want to say also is that this is just the beginning. And so, I mentioned a couple things like we want to feature some portfolios in our explore page related to Plume. We will also be talking more about and exposing more of the yields so that they're more upfront and so that you know what you're getting as you invest. And then we will be working on some form of asset page. And so, as you've probably noticed, when you hold these assets, I'll just go to something random, right? There's very little information about what the actual asset is, right? Which you might see on like a Coinbase where you have information about the assets. And so we'll be building out asset pages that help explain what particular assets are. And I think this is important for especially these Nest Plume assets that we have, where it's key to know like, what am I buying? Why am I investing? And what's the makeup of the actual yield? So look forward to that. And yeah, Jack, before we go to any questions, anything else you want to add?
No, I think we're sufficiently covered here.
Sweet. Gids, what are people asking? Any questions we should answer?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jack. Thank you so much, Brian, for the wonderful presentation of Brian of book Glider and Plume. Thank you very much. So the first question would go to Jack, and it is, Jack, how do you feel about this integration, personally?
Personally, I'm very excited about it. If that wasn't already obvious, Glider. Let me start with this. So there was a lot of in the last year, like year and a half. Obviously, there's been a lot of hype around AI tooling in crypto, and I've seen both when I joined Plume in November of last year, and when I was a VC and while I was at Plume, I saw a lot of builders trying to create portfolio automation tools and like AI based yield aggregators and so on and so forth. And frankly, like I was not impressed by any of them. Primarily, like they were all it was all very amateur hour, right? It was people very clearly trying to hop onto the AI trend, and even some of the bigger names in the space were not really doing it properly. Didn't really have the right teams behind it. When I saw the Glider app for the first time, I was just blown away. And I think Glider is the only version of this that I've seen that is like worth the hype. And I think one of the things that I've been focusing on, or I've been thinking about the most over the last year, is how to string all of crypto together and how to remove the major pain point. I mean, this is something that people have talked about in crypto since forever, right? Like I remember even back in, as far as I can remember in crypto, the lowest hanging fruit for like what is the biggest problem in crypto right now has always been the UX, right? We need to make the UX in crypto better, and no one's really done it well until frankly I've seen Glider, right? Like Glider is just a incredible application. Very stoked to have them collaborating with the Plume team.
We're very excited to be working with Plume. I think Plume and Nest are going to grow tremendously over the coming years and months. I think there's some exciting announcements you guys have planned too. Cool. I have one. There's one question I want to answer in the chat. How is the yield harvested from these Plume assets? This will all be done automatically for you guys. So some of the Plume rewards are paid out in Plume. Some are paid out in other types of points. And so everything, because Glider is non-custodial, is owned by you. And so there's nothing between you and your wallet, you and your assets. So those points accrue to your Glider wallets, your Glider portfolios, and Glider will automatically claim these assets, points, and yield for you, and compound them into your portfolio. So we'll make that more transparent and show how we're doing it in the app. But know that it will be handled automatically for you because that's the way it should be done, quite honestly. Another question, any rewards for using Plume assets? We will have some campaigns running around Plume in the near future. So look out for that. And then we'll mention them on, X. They'll be on the Explore page. There will be some interesting boosted yields as well coming soon. And so those will be things that will be unique to Glider users.
Yeah. Brian, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, definitely. So a question from Garu. I think you missed this. So you said, will there be an opportunity to harvest the yield from Plume pool automatically and then input it into other part of portfolio?
Yes. So I guess the input part, yes. So we're setting up ways for you to decide what you want to do with your yield and rewards, whether you want to hold the underlying or whether you want to convert it into something else. But yeah, it should be all automatic, but we want to make that as easy as possible. We will have an opinionated stance on that to start, and then allow for some customizability in the future. Let's see.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this is from Larry Waju Crypto, one of our most active members. So he said, when should we be expecting integration of what?
Yeah. So we have yield and more generalized
Did you
yield
get that
coming.
question?
Yep. We have more generalized yield coming soon. We're planning before the end of the year, but there's some tricky stuff that gets yield going. But we realize that a lot of people want to lend, and so it's coming. Any other questions?
Brian, can you?
You cut out there, Gids, but I see a question here related to gas saved. The gas saved is the money that we have spent for you guys. So it's not something that you can use. It's just something that you recognize that you're saving by using Glider. Correct. If you deposit into an alpha, you are earning points on Glider and you're earning the Nest points from holding the asset. It is coming from the Glider portfolio. So everything is non-custodial. So regardless of where you hold the assets, you're earning those points. Okay. Alrighty, guys. We're just at time. Want to thank Jack for joining us. This has been great. I think this is just the beginning of our relationship. We have a lot more coming and a lot more interesting campaigns we want to run with Plume. Any closing remarks you want to leave the audience with?
No, just thanks so much for having me, man.
Sweet.
Okay.
All right, guys.
So, yeah.
Have a great rest of your day, and I'll leave Gids to close us out.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you so much, Brian. Thank you so much, Jack. And thanks to every single one of you that joined. I mean, this is something we've actually been expecting. This is something we've been waiting for a very long time. And yeah, I'm so happy and I'm so very excited that we have this event. Thank you so much for showing up. If you are creating content, you're free to create any content around Plume and Glider integration. If you are doing meme, whatever you want to do, you're free to do that. And yeah, Thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to be having a portfolio workshop. So and we're going to also deep dive into the Plume integration. I mean, me and you guys, you know how we roll it. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. We're organizing the space or the events now. Whichever one. See you and yeah, one love. Bye bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Yeah.